Hey, can I come in? What are you doing?
Sure, I'm just reading a story.
Let me listen to the story.
The Secret of Happiness by Ananya Sarkar. Once upon a time, there were three brothers named Samuel, Timothy, and Sander, who lived in a cottage by the woods. They were honest and hardworking. Every day, they would venture into the forest to fell wood. Later, they would sell it in the market where it would fetch a decent price. Thus, their life continued in this manner. However, the brothers were always sad and morose. Even though they lived a good life, they were unhappy. Each one hungered for something or the other and would find for it. One day, while Samuel, Timothy, and Sander were returning home from the woods, carrying their bundle of logs, they saw an old haggard woman bent low with a sack on her back. As they were kind and compassionate, the brothers immediately approached the poor woman and offered to carry the sack all the way to her home. She smiled and expressed her gratefulness, while replying that the sack contained apples that she had collected in the forest. Samuel, Timothy, and Sander took turns in carrying the sack, and at last, when they reached the woman's home, they were very tired indeed. Now, this old woman was no ordinary person and had magical powers. Pleased with the brothers' kind and selfless nature, she asked them whether there was anything she could help them with as a reward.
We are not happy, and that has become our greatest cause of concern,
replied Samuel. The woman asked what would make them happy. Each brother spoke of a different thing that would please him.
A splendid mansion with plenty of servants would make me happy. There is nothing more than I would want,
said Samuel.
A big farm with lots of harvest would make me happy. Then I could be rich without having to worry,
said Timothy.
A beautiful wife would make me happy. Every day, after returning home, her sweet little face would lit me up and make me forget my sorrows,
said Sander. That is fine, said the old woman. If these things will give you happiness, you deserve them in every respect for helping a poor helpless person like me. Go home, and each of you shall find exactly what you have wished for. This took the brothers by surprise as they did not know about the woman's powers. Nevertheless, they took leave and returned home. But lo and behold, beside their cottage, there was a huge mansion with a doorman and other servants waiting outside. They greeted Samuel and ushered him in. At some distance, a yellow farmland showed itself. A flowman came and announced that it belonged to Timothy. Timothy gasped. Just at that moment, a beautiful maiden approached Sander and coyly said that she was his wife. The brothers were beside themselves with joy at this new turn of events. They thanked their lucky stars and adapted to their new lifestyles. The days passed and soon a year was over. The situation was, however, now different for Samuel, Timothy, and Sander. Samuel had grown tired of owning the mansion. He became lazy and did not supervise his servants into taking proper care of the mansion. Timothy, who had built a decent house next to his farmland, found it burdensome to plow the fields and sow seeds from time to time. Sander too grew used to his beautiful wife and no longer found any joy in keeping her company. In short, all of them were unhappy again. One day, the three of them met up and decided to visit the old woman at her home.
That woman has magical powers which turned our dreams into reality. However, since we are no longer happy, we must go and seek her help now. It is she who will be able to tell us the secret of attaining happiness,
said Samuel. When they came to the old woman, she was cooking stew in a pot. Greeting her, each of the brothers recounted how he had turned unhappy again.
Please tell us how we can once more be happy,
said Timothy. Well, replied the old woman, it is all in your own hands. See, when each of you made his wish and it was granted, you were happy. However, happiness never lasts without a very important thing, content. Earlier, since you were happy but never really content or satisfied, boredom and misery overcame you and you became sad again. Only if you learn to be content, you can truly enjoy the bliss of happiness. Samuel, Timothy, and Sander realized their mistake and went back home. They saw how lucky they were to have the gifts for which they had once craved. Samuel felt grateful for being the owner of a mansion and began taking good care of it. Timothy began to plow his land diligently so as to have a good harvest in time. Sander too learned to appreciate his pretty wife's chores in the house and her devotion towards him. Remembering that happiness and content went side by side, never again did the brothers take their blessings for granted, and thus they live happily ever after. Always remember, the true secret of happiness is to be contented with whatever you have. Please take a note of this. I hope you learned something from the story. And now, let's move on and talk about reading as well as the importance and its benefits. According to Wikipedia, reading is the process of taking in the sense or meaning of letters, symbols, and others, especially by sight or touch.
Alam mo na ba ang chika? Mahalaga ro ang pagbabasa.
Reading is really important. Reading is a gateway to learning anything about everything. It helps you discover new things and educate yourself in any area of life you are interested in. A book in its pure form is just words on a page and our minds have to do the work. Imagining the words coming to life, this does wonders to develop our creativity and imagination. Having the access to a world of words is one of the best ways to improve everyone's vocabulary and enhance spelling skills. Not only does reading focus your attention entirely on the task at hand, it also immerses you in the information, improving concentration and memory of what you read. Come on, let's go. Let's read more.